People read about miracles in the Bible, of course, but sometimes they seem so far away, another world. Would God really put a dry road through the Red Sea today? Does God really give sight to the blind? I've had quite a skeptical nature, always been my head, and yet I must say, I am a witness today. God has proved to me those ancient Bible miracles, providences, do happen in our world. Hearing about what I've seen, I can't imagine anyone could not believe. Jesus casting out demons like they were little rocks to toss away. Is that kind of dramatic deliverance possible in the present? One hot, humid day in July, I found myself guarding the boys' bathroom door at Little Grassy Lake Camp. 8-year-old David kept flinging himself at me, tears rolling, mouth frothing. I, his cabin counselor, pushed him back again and again, trying in vain to calm the raging child. He was the kid with big problems at summer camp, always fighting with other boys, raging against any little rule, it seemed. And this day, he'd just blown apart. Wouldn't stop. I got very worried, desperate. Even said, "David, I love you. I want to help you." But he couldn't hear, sealed airtight in his blazing emotions. Finally, little David threw himself on the floor, lay at my feet, frothing and writhing, passion unabated. It was then that those old tales flashed into my mind. I couldn't help thinking about Jesus waving out evil spirits. So I reached down, I picked up David by the shoulders. He stood facing away from me. I said, a bit self-conscious and very desperate, "Get out in the name of Jesus," twice. Now, it wasn't that David heard me. He was screaming too loud. But in 2 seconds, he stopped. All of a sudden, gentle in my hands, just sobbing softly, looked over at him, shocked, led him to the sink, and he let me wash his face. "You feel better?" "I'm sorry," he whimpered, like a son made tender toward his father. Those were words I could imagine David ever saying. And I sat him down, began talking to him about someone so much stronger than all the things that run over us. An entire people in the wilderness, their needs met, water rushing from a rock, manna coming down from heaven. In the Gospels, you see remarkable scenes of Jesus healing everyone who comes to him, it seemed. Does he respond to our human needs like that today? I had decided to try an experiment when asked to do an evangelistic series for a Christian English school in Osaka, Japan. Opening night, I challenged those attending to see for themselves if God really was up there and active. Quite secular. Those photogenic Buddhist and Shinto festivals that highlighted their year were about as religious as the 4th of July parade. The idea of a God of heaven often drew a blank. And wasn't Jesus the one whose actions drew skeptical Greeks, legalistic Jews into faith in him? So I began participatory evangelism. After my talk, I got them all into small groups to participate in activities that showed them what the Christian life is like. Making discoveries in the Bible, learning to encourage each other, and each evening conducting a prayer experiment. I had each group leader ask people to identify some specific problem or need in their lives. The leader would show them a relevant Bible promise to claim, and each night they were to ask in the name of Jesus. I promised to report on the results of our experiment. We're off. At the end of the week, I went around to each group leader to write it all down. What I discovered surprised even me. riding high as a young man. Every single person who followed through on the week-long experiment had received a definite answer to his or her prayer. I recorded the requests and answers. One young man had been sick and was worried about getting behind in his job. He prayed about this and found that a girl he thought was selfish had done his work for him. One young lady prayed about her parents who were treating her rather coldly because she'd come home a little late from the Christian meetings. She was surprised at the door one night by Mom asking very warmly, "Are you hungry?" Another lady expressed to God her deep longing to see her mother's grave in America someday. She received a letter from her daughter unexpectedly, inviting her to come to the States for a visit. A businessman, I learned, couldn't think of any significant need, so he just asked for a red tie. Now, if I'd been the group leader, I would have suggested something more appropriate. But this man conducted his little experiment and was taken back one day. A salesman came right into his office and sold him a silky red necktie. Every single person answered. Walking from room to room where those groups gathered, I saw Jesus is still touching every human being with his grace. I've documented how the God of the Bible, the God of miracles, is definitely present today. I challenge you to believe in him. Invest your faith. Invest yourself in what he can do.